Wrestle Buddies. It is me, Jimmy Bebe, Trip King. I'm joined with our good buddy, Nick. How you doing, man?
I'm good, mate. It's been nice to come off the weekly podcast tonight. It was a nice, good debate. So, looking forward to this.
Now we'll go from debate to hopefully agreeing on some things. We're going to run down the Hell in a Cell matches we think are going to happen. We're going to try and fill out the card for Hell in a Cell. There's a new show that we're going to start doing on Wrestle Buddy. We're going to start doing them after every pay-per-view or premium live event, if you will. And just for fun, just kind of not fantasy book, as some would say, but just kind of try and look at the storylines where they're progressing and see if we can hit these cards on the head. Hit them. Sorry, I'm eating, so I'm a little tripping over my words. But to start off, I want to go ahead and each of us, I want us to give us a match that we want to see happen on the card, and then we'll jump into the ones that make sense. So, Nick, I'm going to throw it over to you and put you on the spot. Give me a match that wants to see happen.
We were just talking about it before we went on there. Gunther versus Ricochet for the IC title. Ricochet will lose this match. That much is obvious. I feel like they did enough to set it up on SmackDown with a little bit of a pep talk for Drew Gulak, whereas Ricochet can now come to defend Drew's honor against the giant German monster. But, I mean, I said to you, I've seen them have a match 4 times live over here in the UK, and it is violent dancing at its best. Watching Ricochet getting chopped out of the air left, right, and center is absolutely beautiful because they've got such chemistry with each other. I think it'd be an absolute crying shame. And with the IC title kind of floundering right now, I think having a big match on a big stage where you have a big title change and you put it on the new monster in town could be really something good for the belt.
Yeah, as we were saying before, with Roman being out of the picture, being able to highlight the IC title just seems like a no-brainer at this point because it's been just treated like shit for so long. Give it some prominence, and there's no better way to get that kick-started than to put it on somebody new and kind of let it go from there. The styles between Ricochet and Gunther would just be amazing to watch. You're telling me what happened, and I'm just seeing it in my head, and I'm like, yes, I want to see. I'm probably gonna look up the matches you're talking about after this because I want to see those two go at it.
Find them. Yeah, find them. WCPW, best one to watch. Okay. You should be able to find it on the What Culture YouTube channel if you dig hard enough.
That's what I'll be doing as soon as this show's over, and I suggest everyone do the same because who doesn't want to watch Gunther and Ricochet? I think that's awesome. For me, I'm going to go ahead and do just this crazy theory with no title, with Roman out of the picture and no title. I think these smaller premium live events is a great way to reintroduce number one contender matches. And you have Sami Zayn, who's embroiled in the whole thing. He's Roman's little bitch boy, if you will. And he's tied up with Shinsuke, who they teased a few weeks ago. I don't think anybody's going to complain about seeing Sami and Shinsuke wrestle. So what better way to have a number one contenders match than just put Sami Zayn in there, defending Roman's honor against Shinsuke, who is now picking on him and critiquing him for it. It would be just a banger of a match, and it's a way to get Shinsuke a title match that makes sense instead of just throwing him in there. So I think that's a great idea.
And maybe this time they'll actually do something with his IC title run.
Yes.
Which would be like, that'd be nice to see.
Okay, so we've gotten our wishes out of the way. We'll start breaking down the ones that make sense. 3 of these matches I think could main event, so I don't think we can even try to do placement, but we can talk about the lower ones. The first one that comes to my mind is Theory. I don't think he can possibly miss a pay-per-view. It will be in Vince's project. And Ali seems to be the likely candidate. They brought him back, threw him right into the kind of the picture. He's taken some losses, but I just feel like the story is heading to where he's going to get a title match with Theory. What about you? And
Ciampa's going to cost him.
Yeah. Man, I completely forgot about Ciampa. Man, shame on me. Shame, Jimmy. Shame, Jimmy.
I'm under the assumption Ciampa, slightly off topic, but I'm under the assumption Ciampa's going to be the 4th member of Judgment Day, or the House of Purple, whatever you want to call it.
I wouldn't be mad at that, but
neither would I.
I guess now I'm confused on how we even get to Theory versus Ali. It just seems like a congested mess. Honestly, now that I remember Ciampa, because Miz is involved in Champ, maybe a 4-way, but then you have 3 heels,
like
1 babyface. So yeah, we're changing it up. We're gonna go Theory versus Miz versus Ciampa versus Ali in a 4-way for the United States title, and you put that on first. You let those guys
that's an opener.
Tear the house down, get the crowd hype. I think that's a great opening match, honestly. And
so do I.
It highlights the mid card, which we keep talking about. We need to highlight those titles more,
especially with Roman going on part-time hiatus, shall we say?
If that is true, if that is in fact what happens, that's what we're going off the basis here, is that he's not going to be at Hell in a Cell. And that's why we're not even going to include him in these matches.
No, and we're talking he's not going to be there.
Yeah.
He's not going to be there. I hope, and just to go on to another match that I think is blatantly obviously going to be on the card, is Cody versus Seth.
Yeah.
And as you were saying before, I really hope it's in the cell. Because I reckon, as per usual, we're only going to get 2 cell matches on this pay-per-view. And I think, like you said before, one of them, which we'll get to, is really obvious. But I think we were talking about this last week on just after one of the other shows. Cody loves to bleed.
Yeah.
If there is any match where Vince is going to let Cody bleed, it's going to be Hell in a Cell. Yeah. That guy must be chomping at the bit to get inside that cell.
Yes.
And we know Seth's great in the cell. With the exception of that god-awful Fiend match, Seth is great in the cell.
We don't talk about that match.
No. It wasn't his fault anyway. That was bookings.
It's the logical next step. They had the really good match at WrestleMania. I think the match Backlash exceeded that. I think the chemistry was much better. I think the match overall was just a better match. Seth has shown he's clearly not done with Cody. So if he's wanting to get physical and he's wanting to get brutal with him, it's the perfect time to say, hey, it's Hell in a Cell season. Let's do it. That's one of those matches. Who's going to complain that we're going to see that inside the cell? I wouldn't call it a blood feud, which is what I usually want to see in the cell, but I think it's a big enough feud to make sense to put in the cell. So,
it's not just that. Seth's been in Hell in a Cell before. Cody hasn't.
Yeah.
And the whole point of Seth's argument is that Cody's always had the advantage in this feud. So Seth can literally put it in the cell to say, now I've got the advantage. We're on my home turf. You've never been in here before. I have twice or 3 times, whatever it is. So it's in Seth's head is leveling the playing field.
Very good point. I can see Cody saying, all right, pick the match. And cell. Hell in a Cell. That makes perfect sense. I like that match. So far we have 4 matches that are just awesome. So if WWE doesn't book Hell in a Cell the way we're booking it, I think it's time we put in our applications for creative.
I completely agree. Either that or we bring up Tony Khan and say, Tony Khan, you really need a creative department. Please hire us.
Look at the show we're booking compared to what they're giving us. We can help. We can help.
We can help.
We'll go from a highly a match people are going to want to watch to one they probably won't care too much about, and maybe I'm being biased. I don't think Ronda misses a pay-per-view. I think they're going to milk that dry. And with Sasha and Naomi being tied up in the women's tag team division, I don't see another credible threat for Ronda to go into a pay-per-view other than there was one. Raquel. Who was that?
Gonzalez. There was one, but they've just moved it to Raw.
Yes, Lacey made perfect sense, but I think
the Raquel
Rodriguez was like a tease. She showed up, unprepared. She can always come back, says, "Hey, I gave it to you. You got me in a roll up. I want a rematch." There's your match right there. Ronda defends it.
And it gives Raquel a good spotlight, which she deserves. She's obviously not going to win because Ronda ain't losing that title probably till Becky next year.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about last time. It gives these younger people a chance to kind of test the waters to see if the people are invested in these names as opposed to the big names we already know they like.
Exactly.
So I think that would be a good spot for Raquel. I don't care to see Ronda, but if it's giving a younger person an opportunity, I'll allow it. And
see, I don't really have an issue with Ronda because I view Ronda the same way I view Brock. Right, Ronda's been brought in for a net. She doesn't have the history with WWE that Brock had, but as far as her position on the pecking order, it's the same as Brock. She's this massive outside star with a lot of potential in Ronda's case that brings shed loads of eyes onto the product that wouldn't normally be watching the product. Yes, she's green as a gourd, but that's because she's had less than 50 matches in her career.
Yeah.
And she's already this good after less than 50 matches. She's going to go far.
I understand the reason she's there. I get it 100%. I'm not knocking him for doing it. You always want to find ways to bring eyes to your show, and someone credible like Ronda, it makes sense. I have a personal, I just don't like her that much. And I have a big issue with people who don't sell that well, and I think her selling is abysmal. And that's, if she was to fix that, just like Riddle in NXT, as I pointed out before, NXT, he didn't sell that much, and I wasn't a fan of him. I said if he could start selling, I would love him. He showed up on SmackDown. He was selling like a champ. I'm like, yo, I love Riddle. And to this day, I absolutely love the guy. He's awesome. So if Ronda could ever pick that up, you probably wouldn't hear me talk as much shit. But I think this is a good second match on the card, as much as people probably Ronda wouldn't agree to that. Shut up. Yes, she will. I think that's a perfect second match on the card to kind of bring people down a little bit after the banger we would see with the 4-way. And then ease us into the next match after.
Which would be the first cell match, ideally.
Yeah, the Cody. Would you do Cody Seth here, or would you do the other cell?
Cody Seth here.
Yeah,
I'd leave the other cell for the main event.
On the same page there. Okay. After that match, I feel like we were talking about the Judgment Day storyline going on. Mm-hmm. I thought about the tag team, but then you brought up the intergender part, and I think that's actually a good idea because it prevents us from seeing Liv Rhea again for no reason.
For like the 4,730th time.
Yeah. A number one contender match for Rousey title. I think they're doing a number one contender match for Rousey next week. On
SmackDown.
I briefly saw something with Shotzi and Aaliyah. Why they're doing a number one contender match, I don't know. But I think I saw something about that.
Apparently, because they were both going to answer the open challenge, and Raquel beat them to it.
Okay. Well, that could be a SmackDown match against Ronda, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't put that on the As much as I love Shotzi, she needs to be built up more. But yeah, the Judgment Day, you get Edge, Priest, Rhea versus Finn, AJ, Liv, Bullet Club, if you will. I know people are going to vomit in their mouth over that, whatever. But yeah, I think there's a place you could do an intergender match in WWE, and it doesn't feel forced, and it works.
Nope. On top of that, you get to, for me, you have Rhea win the whole thing. I know a lot of people are getting kind of annoyed that AJ is on the permanent losing side of this feud, but they're building a new faction. That new faction has to look dominant, so they have to keep winning. And if you do it as an intergender, Edge has already won twice. Priest can stay as the big, powerful, crazy muscle in the background, and then Rhea can get the shine by beating Liv with a dominant finish towards the end of the match, even if she makes a tap out again. Hell, the way I'd have the match finish is literally to have Priest with Finn Balor in a submission, Edge with AJ in the crossface, and Rhea with that reverse hanging cloverleaf thing she does on Liv, and have them all tap out at the same time.
Blackpool Combat Club style.
Yeah, well, they've already rubbed the House of Black and just changed it to a light purple.
No. Interesting idea here. I don't personally think they would do it, but maybe they've kind of teased Rhea here a little bit. Do you think there's any possible way Rhea could get a pin over Finn Balor or AJ? Not AJ, because he's already taken too many pinfalls.
Yeah,
Finn Balor, they've shown they don't really care.
No, they don't give a shit about Finn Balor.
So
they hired Finn Balor to stop other people hiring Finn Balor.
Yeah.
They hired him. But no, I could see that. I could see Rhea pinning Finn
that really makes
quite
Rhea
happily.
Well, strong.
Yeah, and she's bigger than Finn.
Yeah.
She's taller than Finn. She's stronger than Finn. So it's perfectly believable that she could beat Finn.
Yeah.
And Finn's a gamer. I imagine he'd be absolutely up for that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And then that really builds Rhea up for a possible Bianca feud later on in the summer, which I predict is happening. How do you make?
So do I.
How do you make Rhea look like a big threat other than her size?
You have her beat one of the guys.
You have her beat a guy. Yeah, I think that is a image that some people will be like, "Whoa, okay, Bianca's in trouble." So
yeah, I would. Yeah. And I'm a jaded 40-year-old.
All right. So next up, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and assume the women are main eventing this pay-per-view. So I'm gonna go with the other cell match here. No, I'm not, because I think there's a storyline that goes in with it. The women's match from Raw. We both are agree it's gonna be a triple threat. Becky, Bianca, Asuka.
Yeah, I completely agree.
No DQ, so there's no need for a cell, as we pointed out.
None whatsoever.
So it'll be fantastic because we all know Becky is fantastic at telling these stories. We know Asuka.
She's good in triple threats.
Yeah, triple threats, yes, absolutely. We know Asuka and Bianca are just, they're Asuka and Bianca. They're amazing. There's this.
Yeah. Asuka was the MVP of the pandemic. Bianca was the MVP after that while Becky was away. Now Becky's back. They've already proven they have incredible chemistry with one another. Asuka has pretty much incredible chemistry with every girl on the roster. So I can't see how this match could disappoint. Like, absolutely. I really don't.
Unless
for me, you have, who do you have will take the pin?
Becky.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was going to say. Don't call Asuka's jets. She's just come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue the mental breakdown while she turns into a replicant from Blade Runner.
So basically, how the downward spiral ends up is it reverts her back to the man.
The man.
So that we can get Becky versus Ronda when the time is right. So you just have her keep going down this downward spiral. She's obviously like Finn. She's game. She's not gonna ever complain as long as she's able to tell these fantastic stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and do great promos. She's gonna be there. And I think Becky should win the Rumble again this year.
I'm not mad at that. But Becky taking the pin, it also allows Bianca and Asuka to have another match at Money in the Bank. It's still somewhat fresh. And yeah, so that one makes sense. We're completely in agreement here. This is crazy. I never agree with someone this much in these things. So
yeah, I know. Great minds, Jimmy. Great minds.
I said before, I was like, we're not going to debate here. We're in agreement, and we're proving it here.
Exactly what that is.
So, other than the one we talked about, we think is the main event, do you have any other matches you think could happen? Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's eight matches, including the main event. That's your typical card.
I don't see them adding any more, just because otherwise it'd be a little bit too crammed. I mean, what Backlash was? Backlash was only 6 matches, so you might even be shaving 2 of these off. But 2 of them are matches we just want to happen anyway. So
I think one of these could potentially be like a pre-show match if they do those.
Yeah,
they do them anymore, but it could be a pre-show match. I'm not against pre-show matches. I still think they're part of the card, and I don't devalue them like most people do. So
no, they are part of the card.
Yeah,
like literally, if they weren't part of the card, New Day made most of their career on the pre-show.
Yeah. A lot of people will say they're like it's demoralizing. It's like no, they're still part of the pay-per-view. So
somebody has to be on the pre-show match.
Yeah,
and technically they're there to get the crowd hyped. That's your job.
Yeah,
it's an important role.
8 matches. So yeah, we'll just go into the main event. I think everyone is pretty obvious what it's going to be. You got RK Bro versus the Usos, unifying those tag titles that everyone said, why aren't they going to do it? They've completely ruined Backlash now. Now look at y'all looking like some dummies because they're going ahead with it anyway. And
because they saved it for a bigger show.
Yes. Or you just go along the story. And as I was pointing out during the prediction show for Backlash, I think I typed it in. You're basically creating new opponents for Roman Reigns coming out of this, because you could have a Randy program, you could have a Riddle program,
and Riddle,
and
you're telling me Randy?
What's that?
That everybody at the moment, I know and this is sacrilege to my countrymen because I'm British.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre should not be going after Roman Reigns.
Not right now.
Not until Clash at the Castle.
Yeah,
right now, it should be Randy friggin' Orton. Randy Orton is the most over babyface in the company right now. He is doing the best work he's done in years. The fire that Randy has behind him. Look how excited fans get to build up to his hot tag at the moment. And he does nothing. Randy's hot tag is 2 clotheslines, a power slam, and an RKO. It's friggin' amazing. It's the best. He is doing the best work he's done in ages. The biggest match WWE can put on right now is Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. And that's not knocking Cody at Money in the Bank while Cody wins Money in the Bank.
It is a stadium
while
show.
Cody wins. Exactly. Cody can win Money in the Bank.
So, just to touch on it a little bit, I hope that when all this is said and done, people don't just push Riddle to the side and they're able to realize how brilliant the work he has done during RK Bro is. And that elevates him like this whole situation is supposed to do. Because the RK Bro idea was his. He fought for it. He's proven that it works. He's carried so many segments.
They are selling more merch. Yeah. They are selling more merch than anyone in years.
Yep. They're on par. Like Randy was saying at the Q&A was that they're on par with Stone Cold some months. And
to the merch sales.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's a problem with WWE has. No, Stone Cold is just always going to be that over for the next.
He's the biggest. Stone Cold Steve Austin. A lot of people don't get how big a noise he made in a short period of time because they weren't around to see it.
Exactly.
Stone Cold Steve Austin was bigger than Hulk Hogan. Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't just the biggest wrestling star in the world. Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1997 to 1999 was the biggest star on the planet.
Yep.
My mum absolutely hates pro wrestling. She knows who Stone Cold Steve Austin is.
Absolutely.
Everyone I know knows who Stone Cold Steve Austin is, even if they've never watched wrestling in their life. Absolutely. Steve Austin is the biggest deal in the history of deals in professional wrestling. And that's why this year was so big.
Yeah, a lot of people will point to The Rock, help make him. No, without Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock doesn't become The Rock. We don't get that.
Not without Austin.
Honestly, wrestling might be in a very, very, very much worse place right now if it wasn't for the rise of Stone Cold and how
Steve Austin.
But back to the topic at hand. I just really hope when it's all said and done, people realize how big and important Riddle was to this whole success. And he's able to continue this main event scene and not just get shoved back down because the fans are like, well, we just want Randy.
I'm hoping, and it's a long term, but there's 2 possible ways I see the Riddle plan going, which is 1, Randy Orton wins the World Heavyweight title, then Riddle wins the Royal Rumble, and we get the WrestleMania match. And it's all in good favor with tag team partners collide. Let's see if you've learned everything I tried to teach you, kid. And we go from there.
And then you get heel turn at the end.
Yeah. Or you have Riddle turn on Randy. And we get angry Riddle. You've never seen angry Riddle, Jim. Angry Riddle is a beauty to behold. Angry Matt Riddle is this fantastic heel. Like, if you saw him in the Atlas division in Progress back in the day when he was fighting Walter and Walter was the face, his work as a heel, as an absolute killer, is just superb. And I think it'd throw everybody off because everybody expects RK Bro to end with an RKO from Randy to Riddle. If you did it the other way round, and Riddle could literally turn around and but people could Riddle can turn around and say, I saw it coming, you're just mad because I did it to him before he did it to me.
The teacher becomes the student becomes the teacher. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So what I like about we're going completely away from that, but I'm fine with it. What I like most about the idea of Randy and Reigns at Money in the Bank is having Riddle in the Money in the Bank match and him winning it.
Yeah.
Because you have layered story there, which is, people say WWE doesn't do enough of. I disagree. I think they do it enough. But I think this is one of those ones you could really layer going into the show. And then going from there, Randy could win the title from Roman. I doubt it happens that way. But then you have a story. You have Riddle, as I have predicted. I think it would be just brilliant if they did this. Riddle cashes in during that match, trying to help Randy. It doesn't work out. Dissension starts. You got that. You have Riddle cashing in and actually winning it, and then Randy playing the supporting role and then getting jealous and eventually, and then all that. There's many ways they can go about this, and the fact that RK Bro is so over makes it that much better because you're completely invested. Your eyes are glued. You want to see what happens.
Well, I think the one thing none of us can forget is Vince McMahon is quoted in saying tag team wrestling is there to create a single star.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, RK Bro can only be there to create Riddle as a star because Randy already is one.
Yeah.
So they're only creating one new star from this. And as you say, I just really hope that he doesn't get lost in the shuffle. No. He's too good to get lost in the shuffle.
But before we get there, Hell in a Cell against the Usos. Unifying those titles. Who do you see walking out of here with the titles?
Bloodline.
Yeah.
As much as I want it to be Randy and Riddle, it's going to be the Usos. And I see it with a 3D, because I refuse to call it a 1D, a 3D through a table in the ring to Randy Orton while Riddle is handcuffed to the cell.
Okay. I see it happening. I see a lot of people. Roman's not going to be there. I think Roman will be at the pay-per-view. Not having a match. Okay. I think he gets involved in this, and that's what helps Orton go towards Reigns. Because I agree, Usos clearly are coming out of here with the titles. That there's no way they shouldn't. They are the head above. They're so far above everyone else in the tag team division in WWE right now.
Yeah, it's not even funny.
So they should be the ones holding those titles. It'll also make it much more a much bigger deal when someone like the Street Profits takes it off of them. So that's how I see it. I think it'll be a superb match. The Usos had the Hell in a Cell with New Day. It was fantastic. So they know how to put on those matches.
Yeah, they do.
So against RK Bro, I think it'll be great. It'll be a much more psychology-driven match with Randy Orton taking control of things.
Yes.
So yeah, I think you have a main event there. It's an amazing main event.
Well, it's not just an amazing main event. It's a rare main event. It's very rare Vince puts the tag titles in the main event.
Yeah.
Very rare. It's been a very. I can't remember the last time the tag team championship main evented a pay-per-view for WWE.
No, I can't either.
I'm trying to span my mind back like for over 30 years, and I still can't think of a time they've done it. So it's a big deal to put that unification match on as the main event. But as you say, I kind of have a feeling Roman will be there.
Yeah. And as we're talking about with the testing the mid-card titles, I think Backlash and this would be a great test as to see how far Riddle will go once the split goes. As we're talking about, we hope he doesn't get lost in the shuffle. I think they can look at Backlash, and then they can look at Hell in a Cell. They can see how people reacted, how things went, and they can say, okay, we have something here with Riddle. Let's push it and see where it goes. And with SummerSlam season coming up, I think it's just the best time to really dive into something like this. So we're not getting Brock Roman at SummerSlam and pay-per-view. We're not getting Roman and John Cena round 2. Yeah. I think we could get something new and refreshing, and it could be a lot of fun. And as we all saw on SmackDown ending, Riddle hit that knee on Roman. None of this stuff can be by mistake.
No, it's all deliberate.
Big deal.
It's like you said, a lot of people don't give WWE credit for the stories they tell. No. They don't tell stories through obvious means all the time. A lot of stuff is done very subtle. That knee to Roman from Riddle was very subtle. But you don't have somebody knee Roman in the face for no reason.
No.
Not with Roman in the position he is in. Everything has to be done for a reason. And if it's not done for a specific reason, it's done to lean towards something.
So when they do that video package, they can say, oh, look how this all started. And we can all marvel at how this video package was. Says, man, they're telling such a great story. It's like, the story's always been there.
It's just now they've edited it together for you.
Yes. So yeah, that's the card. I think that's a great card, honestly. I was a little worried.
I agree with you.
I think if we don't get this card, I'm going to be a little disappointed.
I'm going to be gutted if we don't get
the Sammy
this card.
Shinsuke match, just because I just pulled that one out of my ass a little bit. But
Right,
the other 7, I think, make perfect sense.
Yeah,
and
perfect show.
That'd be great. So, anybody that
That's
has any ideas, feel free to let us know. I will chit chat with you on Twitter all day long. Just don't get personal with me. But give me your ideas. I'll gladly shout them out if I think they're good. So yeah, that's the card. That's the show. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Nick, for joining me today with that.
You're welcome, my friend.
Probably a little sick of me. It's been about an hour and a half with me now.
Sorry, Jimmy. You'll get sick of me before I get sick of you. Trust me.
Nah. It's all love here, man. So thanks for watching. Tune into Hell in a Cell. See how well we did with these predictions. And again, if you liked it, give us the like. Let us know what you liked. If you didn't like it, let us know what you didn't like. Because that's what we're here for. We're here to talk wrestling with you.
And here's the shilling part, people. Please, if you like this video, if you like any of the videos we do here at WrestleBuddy, please like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
It's free, and it's really the only way the YouTube algorithm notices any of us.
And we're here to put out positive content. We're not here to just shit on everything.
No misery, no complaints. We're here to just be positive and happy and enjoy wrestling for what it is. Tribalism is left at the door on this channel.
Yeah, so that's the show. You can catch me tomorrow on the Raw recap. I will be back. Vacation's over, unfortunately, but I will be back for the Raw recap tomorrow. You can catch us back next week on the podcast. We got a bunch of stuff for you to catch us on. We got the interviews coming up again.
Quiz Buddies as well, new series.
Yes, the Quiz Buddies. We'll be back here soon. We had a little hiccup, but we're back. So stay tuned for those because they are amazing. I love watching and learning more about these guys. Nick's was a good one. Size, loved it. I'm really looking forward to watching Dan's. Andy's as well was really good.
Yeah.
So just look out for Dan's.
I'm looking forward to seeing yours, Jimmy.
Yes, I'm looking forward to doing it. Again, I've written notes so I don't look stupid. I got my answers. So I'm not like trying to, because I'm terrible at pulling things out of my ass like that.
No, you see, I had no notes at all and just let Matty just go.
See, I was like, okay, I didn't have to go first. Let me see how this is going to work. I'm not just left in the dark here. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I thank people all the time, way too much. That's just what I do. I'm just appreciative. So with that said, I will say goodbye. Nick will join me. This is the part where we wave, and we will see you later. I will see you tomorrow night. Goodbye. Boom. And I do that all the time.